Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I'm your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Virgo in October 2019. Hello, Virgo. How are you guys doing? What's going on? I hope you're doing well. Virgo, look where we are. Back at home. Oh, man. If you're unaware, Virgo, I recently, just today, came back from vacation, and a week-long vacation with my sister. It was fabulous. I relaxed. I rested. I did practically nothing on most days, and it was glorious because you know what? Working a full-time job, doing tarot, having a social life, and just generally having hobbies and pets to take care of and all this other kind of stuff, sometimes it's just really good to step away from things. So I really enjoyed my vacation. Hopefully, if you've had a vacation recently or whatever you're doing right now, hopefully you feel just as amazing as I did on my vacation. And I hope everything in your life is going well right now, okay? So anyway, I did some recordings while I was down there with my sister, and now I'm back home with my little tiny table, back to the old setup. So it's nice and familiar, but certainly feels slightly strange to be back. So because it feels like I was just here, but obviously I was gone for over a week. But anyway, Virgo, that is your main spread there. I will shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all of the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. The timestamp will be in the description box below if you want to jump ahead. Also down there is all the information you need if you want to get a personal reading with me. Follow the steps that are listed there, but if you have any questions before you actually place an order, feel free to email me at the exact same address and I will clarify whatever your question is, okay? All right, guys, let's get into it. I want to see Virgo's outcome for October 2019. Please show me Virgo's outcome for October 2019. Please show me. Okay. Something fell. Where did it fall to? Right there. There it goes. Bottom of the deck is the overall energy. All right. And only two cards came face down. So let's go ahead and flip what came face down so we can get a clearer picture of what's happening. All right. And because it's that old school setup that I'm familiar with, I know I'm in frame. So let's dive right into it, okay? All right, please show me where Virgo is in October 2019. Please show me Virgo in October 2019. Please show me. Okay, thank you. Wow, we got it. That was pretty. It was like bouncing between two actual positions, but this one came up the most prominent, so this is where we begin. Virgo, coming into October, you come in with the Page of Swords. Air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You might be dealing with an air sign, but you don't have to be. It is a general reading after all. Given that the question is always, where is blank at the beginning of the reading or at a particular time, I'm going to say this is probably you, Virgo. You might, it might be someone else in your life. It is a general, so the roles could reverse. But it feels like it's mostly you, Virgo. And this Page of Swords, as you can see, is composing a letter. So I'm getting this idea of being in thought and contemplation, but actually kind of acting, maybe moving things along quickly, like feeling in a rush for things to kind of happen or settle or be sort of finalized or initiated, something like that. Like, as much as this page appears to be minding their P's and Q's and really being formulaic with something, or really, following the instructions, like I'm getting like following instructions, filling out paperwork, reading, dossiers. Wow, really? Dossiers? Okay. But really being informed, right? Being thorough with the matter, but still also pushing forward, like being really anxious or antsy, rather. Antsy about something progressing. So I'm thinking that as much as you're dotting all your I's and crossing your T's, Virgo, it also feels like you're impatient. So that's kind of a interesting mix, but given that your innate energy, being a Virgo, is one of, you know, crossing T's and dotting I's and following instructions and being thorough, it does make sense that that energy is paired or somehow showing up with this Page of Swords today. Now, what, and actually, now they're showing me like this person or this depiction is actually composing something, actually writing something. So some of you might be drafting up documents, you know, writing up contracts. If you're not receiving things and reviewing them, you would be the creator of such documents. And so maybe the rush, maybe the push is because you're under some type of deadline. And so if you need to get agreements on the table for people to review, you're up, you know, burning the midnight oil at home in your office, or staying late at work doing, you know, like really doing that overtime just to ensure that you meet your deadline, or that all parties involved can be, you know, satiated in some form or fashion. So it's going to go either way. It's going to be either you are anticipating something coming through, a contract coming through, negotiations coming through, communication, or you're pushing something out. You're really like rolling something out as soon as possible. It feels very proactive. It feels very much like, if I don't get it done now, it'll never be done. Or if I don't take care of it, no one else will take care of it. It feels very much like under your purview, under your control. It has to happen, and it has to happen right now, or yesterday, or 2 days ago, whatever it is. That's interesting. Feels heavily like work or some type of official situation or circumstance in your life. Again, like if it's not for work, if your job doesn't involve like a lot of contractual agreements or negotiations or anything like that, it feels like, you know, paperwork you would expect, like if you're dealing with like buying a home, you know, how many different papers you have to sign, how many times you have to correspond with the bank or correspond with the realtor's office and all this other kind of stuff. So it's like this having to ping pong your energy back and forth across official or professional channels. And you just want to see the situation wrapped up and done as soon as possible. Okay, so that's, it's better than some of the other signs, because we've had a lot of deep readings thus far. So for your first card, Virgo, that's pretty light. And I'm, as the reader, it's a little bit of a relief, if I'm honest. But let's see what else happens. I might be eating those words in 2 seconds, right? So what else is going on in your life? Okay, so, well, I spoke too soon. Because what's beneath you, Eight of Swords, I feel is kind of the fire underneath your butt that's making you push and push and push, or be really, really expectant of some type of result or the next phase of something. Because Eight of Swords, in this deck, kind of favors the traditional depiction of the Eight of Wands. And I feel like both the traditional Eight of Wands and Eight of Swords are at play here. First with the Eight of Swords, right? Traditionally, when we see this card, we don't see this depiction. We see a woman who's tied up and blindfolded and 8 swords surround her, right? And so we often will interpret that as self-imprisonment, feeling distraught and out of place in a situation, or feeling helpless in a situation, right? Then combine that with the traditional understanding of the Eight of Wands, which is about communication, fast communication, or in some cases, bows of, what do they call it? What do they call it? Slings of love or something like that, like arrows of love or something like that. And maybe that's at play here. Maybe there's a relationship thing here for some of you. But I feel like the quickness of communication is really what's going on here, since, of course, we talked a lot about you as the Page of Swords sitting in a position of composing messages or waiting for messages and information to come in so that you can review it and then do your part and then send it where it needs to go, and then you wait for the next part, whatever. So I feel you are under the gun or under some type of pressure to really perform well, especially with written communication, or in terms of communication, maybe even like face-to-face meetings, you know? Like now I'm seeing like board meetings, I'm seeing people, like I said, like at a bank, seeing people in court, okay? and everything is like professional. You know, people are showing up in suits and ties and blouses and skirts and things like that, and everybody looks professional. Yeah. So there's this emphasis on importance. This is important to you. It's either attached to your career or attached to your personal life in some type of way. And these 8 swords being kind of brandished in the air like that, it feels very dicey, or not dicey, I'm sorry. It feels very sharp. The communication between you and the other people is very sharp, meaning there's no like fluffy language, you know, and that makes sense. If you're drafting up contracts, or if you're reading official documents, there shouldn't be any like frivolous language in them. You know, contracts and documents usually have very direct language that speaks to the matter at hand and only the matter at hand. There's not any, you know, exchanging of pleasantries like you would expect in like an email or a text message or a verbal communication. So everything that's coming to and from you is very to the point. It's directly guided in a specific route, or pardon me, on a specific path. So if this is a contract where some type of pricing or some type of purchase price is being negotiated, it's like there's no frills about it. It's very, you know, business first. Okay. Now I see everything else that's down here, and I'm not really seeing it. I just look down and, you know, they hit me with interesting images. So for some, this is like a relationship thing, and it feels very family oriented. So husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, children and parents, siblings and siblings, whatever. Well, I said brothers and sisters, right? So in-laws and all that kind of stuff. It feels like a family affair. And your role seems to be either as peacemaker or officiant. Like if there's a legal thing that affects your family, you're taking up the helm, you're taking up the post as the leader, as the key correspondent between a lawyer's office or the court system and you and your children, or you and your husband, or you and your sister, whatever. There's just like this, I'm going to take the brunt of whatever is unfolding in terms of legal ramifications or complications, or just issues or cases that you're dealing with. I feel in the family situation, regardless of what specific dynamic we're talking about, again, siblings, children and parents, spouses, whatever, I feel, Virgo, you're very intent on defending your position. Yes, because again, you're being thorough with the Page of Swords, which is not typical of the Page of Swords, but your Virgo quality is making this energy be thorough. The thing about the Page of Swords is they're very witty or clever or knowledgeable about a certain area. So not to say that you have to be in the profession of law, but you know a thing or two, and you're covering your bases here, because I feel, you know, there's a chance for things to go on longer than they need to, or for people to contend something, people to drag a situation out, and it feels like you want to put it to bed as soon as possible. And the way to do that is to sort of circumvent the other side's argument, or hit them with an unsuspecting piece of evidence or revelation or something like that. Oh, wow. Page of Swords also traditionally is a spy card, is a card about observation, quiet observation, or, you know, observation with the intent of, oh, maybe not with the intent, but certainly sneaky or dubious observation, spying, right? This could be you taking notes, or this could be like a private eye or something like that. And if you're going that far to hire a private eye, or you're acting as your own private investigator, that's kind of interesting. But there's a preparation in that Page of Swords in tandem with everything in a relationship dynamic that makes me feel like there's something really, really pivotal shaking up in your personal life, shaking up in your home life, shaking up with your family. Again, in any relationship. Could be spouses, could be, siblings. It really doesn't matter. And Virgo, it feels like you want the upper hand at all turns. At all times and at all turns. You need or want the upper hand here for some reason. So you're really, putting in extra hours. Like I said, with that Page of Swords, staying up late, researching and getting into as much or obtaining as much information as possible, because either someone in the situation has painted you to be the villain, or makes it seem as though you're not capable of something. That's how that's coming across. That's specific to family relationships, okay? In work, I really feel work and career, Virgo, you feel more like a facilitator or a coordinator, or just a go-between between two sides. Like, again, you could be counsel or a mediator or something like that. And you're having to deliver messages of heft and weight between two parties. And maybe you have to actually compose some of these pieces of writing or these documents, but it doesn't feel contentious to you specifically. In the family dynamic, it feels more personal. Hope that makes sense to you. Now, what else is going on? Okay. Oh, man. Why can't I get that? Why can't I get that? Okay, I got it. Thank you. It took you long enough. Damn. Sorry. There was something, and then it went away, and then I was like, no, that felt right. Bring that back. And there was a whole little discrepancy between me and my guides. Anyway, so what has happened, I'm not even sure if the rest of this is going to be able to apply to work, but we'll see. It will. Okay, they're like, it will. Okay, cool, it will. So next up, I believe we have here. Yes, thank you. So sort of central to this storyline, you have the Hierophant. Major Arcana for Taurus, so you might be dealing with a Taurus, but you don't have to be. This is a power player. Could be your boss, even though the Hierophant isn't really a boss energy. It is the head or the figurehead of a company, or the figurehead of an organization, or the archetype of leadership within an organization. So again, bosses. It could be more than one person. It could be your bosses, or it could be, your senior VP of marketing. You've never worked a day in your life with this person, but because you're doing internal mediation, or you're doing internal contract reviews, you finally have to go and meet with this person and kind of, understand where their head is and understand what their job is in the entirety of the company, So it's like a figurehead or a person in power, but how involved they are directly with you might not be super direct in terms of career. In terms of the relationships or family dynamics, this would be, in many cases, it can be read as a father figure, the Hierophant. I would just put this down as to someone of an older generation. Could be even a peer of yours, or someone who's already in your generation, like an older cousin by like 5, 10, 15 years, something like that. But they're revered, right? The Hierophant is revered and respected and honored. So typically we're talking about father figures, but again, there's really no gender in a general, so could include females in this. And it feels like to me, Virgo, this, in terms of family, and maybe a little bit in the career too, this Hierophant, regardless of their sign or zodiac or gender or anything, has been preaching the gospel the same way for the longest time. This gospel is not new. This approach, these beliefs, this understanding whatever this person communicates regarding the circumstance at hand. It's coming from a place of, well, that's the way it's always been and that's the way it will continue to be. And there's like this, so it is said, so let it be done kind of attitude from this person. Because I'm the leader, because I'm the head of the family, because I'm your older brother or sister, or because I'm the head of the household, whatever the reasoning, it always ends up being anchored in hierarchy. Because I am so-and-so in relation to you, her, and the other person, you have to follow my guidance. You have to follow what I tell you to do. This person is very prescriptive in this role. Maybe not as their entire personality, but in this role. They take it very seriously. If they're the senior VP of something, or the vice president, or excuse me, the president of this, or the leader of this organization, they take it very seriously, whatever that title is. If this is the grandfather in a household, or the oldest male sibling in a family dynamic, whatever it is, or the oldest sibling, doesn't even have to be a male. They take it very seriously. There's something about, because I've been here the longest in terms of family. I've been here the longest, therefore my word is the word. It's the only word that needs to be heard, kind of is the attitude here. Let me see. Let me turn this upside, because I've never noticed it before. Like, I've noticed that this is a Ouija board, but I've never noticed the letter that it's pointing to. So there's if you can see, just so I can show you the perspective on the card. The Ouija, I don't know, the indicator or whatever is pointing to the letter P. So some of you, there might be a name or a significance with the letter P. Peter, I'm just throwing it out. Peter, Paul, Paulina, things like that. Or last name Peterson, things like that. So P might mean something to you. But it doesn't have to. I'm just showing you that because it's literally highlighted on the card. I feel, Virgo, you would be in line with what this person says. Whether they're on your side or not, because, yes, Virgo, you are, in terms of where you are, you're a page. And this is the second person that we've met so far in the storyline. This person is a Hierophant. Major Arcana versus Minor Arcana court card. You're not showing up as a queen or a king. You're showing up as a page. You might be this person's child, right? As a page. This might be your parent or someone in direct lineage to you. So like a grandparent or a great aunt or uncle, something like that. But I would say you're probably younger than this person. And the Page of Swords, because it's combined with this studious energy that we discussed at the beginning with the letter writing and sitting down at a desk instead of like running off into the fields, which is normally what the Page of Swords would do. This Page of Swords is very anchored. I feel that you, Virgo, are having to, or feel obligated to, or you just always have listened to what this person says. And you follow their directions. You follow their instructions. You fulfill their wishes. Okay, that's the other thing about the Hierophant. It talks about societal structures, organizations, bodies of power in a society. So government, to some degree, health or hospitals and things like that. Talking about education, so schools, universities. We talk about, oh my God, what's the other big one? Business, corporations, media, things like that, where often those entities or those bodies of power, when they decree something, when they sign something into law, when they release a new product or they set a new standard in the business industry, other people or other, whatever the followers are, quote unquote, the followers are, they follow suit and they usually don't push back. So there's an adherence to what this Hierophant is saying or doing. In terms of you drafting up contracts in a workplace situation, that makes sense. If this is your boss or one of your bosses, and they say, when you go back to the drawing board with this contract, Virgo, make sure you put in a clause that states blah, 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 blah. You know, in your role as the creator of such documents, that clause is kind of silly, or that clause is probably going to be rebuffed and rejected. You will still follow through. You're not even going to question or even suggest to the Hierophant, hey, it would kind of be a waste of time if we introduce this to the contract or this to the negotiation table, because we're probably going to be rejected or there's probably going to be pushback. Instead, you just follow what this person says, okay? At home, this person especially if you're their kid, it would be really, it happens. I know it does happen. But it would be really weird for you to push back against your own parent if they're giving you advice on something, or they're telling you, because that's the thing, the Hierophant is often seen, especially in this dynamic of family, as being a protector, as being somebody who's looking out for the best interest of everybody at hand. Even though, if you think about archetypally what I was mentioning, bodies of power, government, businesses, media, things like that, that's not always true. But let's just keep it in the micro. Let's not go macro with it. We'll keep it in the micro. You are very loyal to this person and whatever they want, or whatever they're talking about, whatever they're advising you to do, whatever they're discussing. You're just kind of like nodding your head saying, yes, yes, okay, sure. And you're kind of following suit. This person might not even have, oh God, this is like, If it is your parent, your mother, your father, your older, whoever, if this person is on your side, like they're using their position, their clout, they're throwing their weight around to defend you, when maybe that's not the best move, or it's not the most mature move, or it might not even be necessary. And I don't even know what we're talking about, because like I said, this family dynamic, it feels like things are coming to a boil, and you kind of just want to be over it, Virgo. But this person might get like in a diatribe. They might rant and rave and talk about, in my day, and the last time this happened, this is what we did in 1982, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, you don't even want to hear that, but you're just going to sit there and listen to them. So this person is advising you, and again, you're still kind of just nodding your head and not really pushing back, because I think you just want to get the situation over and done with. So it's like, maybe a better part of yourself, Virgo, knows you should, or not should, but you might benefit from challenging this person, or things might move a little bit more smoothly if this Hierophant was less involved. But I think because you're coming in as a page, and again, in terms of hierarchy, a page, lowest in the court cards in the minor arcana, going up against a major arcana energy, or someone who's embodying this energy of the Hierophant, it's not really a battle that's fair. You feel inadequate. You feel maybe it would be disrespectful to counter this person's perspective or their point of view, and so you just keep your mouth shut instead. And again, if in terms of job, that makes sense. If you're just like, an assistant to someone, or you're just like, in that entry-level position, or you just got promoted, you would dare not challenge your boss or one of your new bosses in something that they've been doing for however many years. You're just kind of like, I'm just here to do my job, and that's it. Because you don't want to rock the boat, because you don't want any repercussions. I get it. Wow. Interesting. So, as resolute as you are to get this situation wrapped up, I feel it might be prolonged, because this person either changes their mind, introduces new stipulations or information to the situation, or is sort of on a power trip. Like, if they are able to, who or whatever the other side of this issue is, if this person is able to really take jabs at the other side, even though the jabs are not necessary, they're going to take the jabs. Again, because they believe in their position. I'm the boss, I'm the father, I'm the mother, I'm the senior executive, or I'm the VP of this, or whatever it is. I am the creator of the company. I'm the founder of this shit. So there's like, they're gassed up on their power, and therefore they're going to sort of gloat a little bit. Oh boy, interesting. And back to my good old squeaky wicker chair. What else is going on? Because we talked a lot about that person, and they're interesting. I'll say they're interesting, because I'm not here to disrespect anybody's relationship to whoever the Hierophant is, but they're probably a handful. Am I right? They're probably a handful, and you know this. Now, what else is going on? So, okay. Okay. Who is here? Who's this? This is somebody else. Who is that? Wow, could be the other side. Okay. Virgo, you have people here. You and the Hierophant at least, but you might have 2 or 3 more people that we're going to talk about. Right now, what the Hierophant is doing has really knocked someone off their game here with the 4 of Swords. This card, God, with the focusing. And I wonder why it's different here than it was when I was down with my sister. I'll have to investigate that. Anyway, oh my God, it's so bad. Thank you. All right, so with the 4 of Swords, someone has been kind of knocked off their square a little bit, knocked off their game, kind of taken it back, or been really shunned. Okay, sure, shunned or shamed into this space of the 4 of Swords. 4 of Swords is elective. Well, not always, but sometimes elective or very conscious rest and respite. A time for reflecting, a time for sitting on the sidelines, calling a time out in your life, taking a break from something, and often having a lot of quiet time, having a lot of downtime that you spend with yourself. I don't think this is you. You're very much in that Page of Swords. You want to get shit done. You want things finalized. You want things wrapped up. Whoever's in the 4 of Swords, and I think I muttered about it being the other side. So this could be another family member. If you're, just as an example, you could be the child of the Hierophant, right? This could be your brother or sister. This could be a cousin, or this could be your aunt or uncle, or this could be whoever, right? This could be if this is, okay, that is true. Wow, they're like, that is true. The thing I was thinking before I even said it, they're like, that is true. So this is you. This is your mom or dad, or whoever is the older person that you revere in your family. Could be your grandparents or something like that. And this is your spouse. Yes, they're like, this is true. Okay. Virgo. Your parent or whoever you revere in your family is having it out with your spouse. In some of your cases, not all. In some of your cases. Oh. And it's not pretty because your spouse has gone into seclusion. Your spouse has run away, maybe literally gone and moved somewhere, gone and, spent the weekend or spent some time at their family's house, like, whatever. This person has been driven away either physically or emotionally and consciously. They are not able to contend with the Hierophant. They feel really, if I dare say, and it's one of those cliched words, so get ready, bullied by the Hierophant or by the situation itself. If it's not specifically by the Hierophant, it's the energy that surrounds whatever's going on in your home, whatever's going on in your marriage, whatever's going on in this dynamic. This person feels smothered. What is that? Enclosed, ensnared, thank you, like crippled almost by what's going on. So what do? They retreat. In order to save themselves, they retreat. Sometimes, if you're like a little bunny rabbit in the woods and you see a snake over there, you see a fox over there, and you hear a wolf, charging up behind you, what do? You retreat. You bury yourself down into the little rabbit hole and you try to escape. Yeah? So that's what this person has done. In terms of business, this could be a rival company. This could be the other lawyers or mediators in the other company, whatever. And the language or the the approach of the Hierophant, which you co-sign on or that you have a hand in polishing up and putting into an official document, has this other entity, this other side of the situation on the ropes in terms of business. Like, you guys might be closing in on an amazing deal, despite how aggressive you might personally think the Hierophant is being. The result is the other side is sort of quaking in their boots. In terms of business, I feel there's not, any emotional tie. It's business, you know, that's your mantra, that's the Hierophant's mantra. That's sort of what's understood if you guys are, you know, having to spar things out through lawyers or something like that. That's understood. And so there's no deep ramifications. But with the family situation, holy shit, this is not pretty. And I don't know the rhymes or the reasons. I'm just picking up on the energy, right? And it feels like for you, Virgo, you feel caught in the middle. You don't want to disrespect your parent or whoever this Hierophant is to you. You don't want to push back on them too much because you respect them, you know, you have obligation and duty towards your parents, fine. But you also don't appreciate the way that your spouse is feeling, or your partner, or whoever this is. It doesn't even have to be a spouse. This could be your girlfriend or boyfriend for like 2 months, and this is your mom or dad like talking shit on them, whatever. You feel, like I said, caught in the middle. You can't denounce and reject the Hierophant because, again, in your position as a page, you just follow along with whatever they do. And you also can't come to the or you can't also blame the Four of Swords person as harshly because I feel you have some sympathy for them. I don't know what's going on, but the Hierophant in the family situation feels very defensive of you specifically, or the entire family, or the entire situation. And especially with the Hierophant coming out as an archetype, as an energy, we're talking about traditions. Oh. Whoever this is, they feel there's something traditionally not right in your relationship. They have opinions of whatever you and your partner are doing and how it's breaking the mold, breaking historical patterns in the family. And they don't like that. They don't like that at all. So, just as an example, like I mentioned, this does not have to be actual marriage. This doesn't have to be, you know, an actual union, like a heavy commitment. That could be the issue. That could be the issue. You could be dating this person for 5-6 years, and this is your mom or your dad saying, so when are you guys getting married? Or, you know, the dad, well, when are we going to see some grandkids? And, you know how that pressure comes down from a parent. And you're just like, just like sitting there like, oh, mom, oh, dad, you're just, you know, and you kind of just like shrug it off, try to laugh it off. And your partner is just like alarmed by this. They feel pressured by that. They don't like it for whatever reason. Maybe they don't want children. Maybe you both don't want children, but your parents are just like, children. Let's get some grandkids out here. Something like that. Maybe this person is non-traditional. They don't ever want to get married. They want that Goldie Hawn and Russell, I was almost said Russell Crowe. What's his name? Kurt Russell. Thank you. They want that situation where those two, I believe, never got married, but they've been together, what, 30, 40 years or some shit like that? You know? So this person, your partner, is very much not in line with the traditional values of your family, or specifically the higher. And they I don't want to say they bump heads, because it's not like that. It feels more friction. There's friction between your partner and the Hierophant. And you just sit by going, I don't know what to do. Because energetically, again, you come in as a page. You're not a knight, therefore you're not fighting. You're not a queen, so you're not making resolutions. You're not trying to be a peacekeeper. And you're not a king in the sense of you're making your own new normal or your new traditions. You come in as a page. And I'm not trying to say that you're weak. I'm not trying to say that you never will ever or have never done that in your life, Virgo. But in this reading, you're just sitting by and being very obligatory, and you're respecting and you're honoring what the Hierophant says and does. What else is there? Oh. So, these two are actually very hopeful, and I don't know how they're going to fit in. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So remember I said the Hierophant is coming from this in my day. This is how it was. They might be regaling you in business or family. They might be regaling you or really like detailing to you some historical things that have happened in their life. Again, with this damn focusing. They might be hitting you with stories of how it was when they were growing up, how it was when they first started the company or when they first started working here, how we would never even have had these discussions. We would have just gone down to the bar, made a handshake deal, and that would have been the end of it. But now we have to get all these lawyers and blah, 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 blah. You know, they're really telling you things that were valid, no offense, 10, 15, 20 years ago. In terms of business, like things that are like no longer lawful practices. Like this Hierophant person, not to call them out and not trying to say this is exactly how they are, but this is like somebody who still uses the word secretary, something like that. Or this is someone who still would use the word stewardess, male or female. Women can be, you know, chauvinistic just as much as a man can be. So this could be a woman in charge, in power in your company going, and so the stewardess just told me there was no more orange juice. Can you believe it? And it's just like, ma'am, nobody says stewardess anymore. They're flight attendants, but whatever. You know, so this person is very old school. Yeah. And they hold that in high regard because it was the golden era of their life. You know, back in 1970 this and back in 1980 this, you know, when you could, oh God, I could get into it. I don't want to because I feel a need to challenge this person. My own energy is just like, this person is acting, this Hierophant is using old, dated information that is no longer valid in this 21st century world. This is the person who tells the millennials, even though millennials now are in their 30s and 40s, but this person thinks millennials are like 15 years old. You know, when I was 15, all I did was work down at the Burger King, and in 2 years, I bought my first Camaro. I bought my first car. Okay, so, you know, in 1970, whatever, that was possible. Because of, you know, I'm not an economist, but if you know anything about just the basics of economy, that doesn't work now. This is the same person who says, well, you know, with a high school diploma, I was able to work my way up through a company. Do you realize that most entry-level positions in any company that is going to pay you a living wage requires you to have a 4-year degree? Like, this person ignores the facts of today, and they really stick to what they know of yesterday. Okay? Now, they, based on that experience, that knowledge, those traditions, those outcomes that existed back then, or those standards of practice that existed back then, they think for you, Virgo, it should be the same. They're telling you on the job, well, just put it in the contract, put the clause in the contract that if this happens, then that happens, and blah, 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 blah. Basically, like a very professional threat. And you're like, I can't put that in a contract. I can't put that language in there. That's, you know, you're the professional in that realm, Virgo. You would know. But there's something where you know you can't approach the situation the same way this person would because it's 2019. It's not 1998. It's not 1972. It's 2019. Yeah? In the home, family situation, this person, back in my day, you had kids by the time you were 38 years old. And you're like, we don't want kids. Maybe you're not even telling this person that. But, you know, they're sitting there like really lecturing you about how you're this old and your partner's that old, but there are no children in the house. And you're like, we live in a condo. It's very expensive to live here. And we barely have enough money to take care of, you know, our expenses here and pay off our student loans. You want us to have a baby? Like right now? Like you're coming at it from a very informed point of view. And if it's not you, it's your partner. If it's not you, it's your partner. Somebody knows what this person is talking is not it. It's not correct for the situation at hand. It just will not work. It's probably your partner who's saying that or thinking that. And okay, I'll give you some credit. Sorry. I'll give you both credit because it's cups, right? Oh, my bad. I've been saying the 6 of cups. This deck really upsets me. My bad. The 9 of cups. Oh, my bad. Well, that might change things. That's the thing about this deck. It doesn't... Anyway. Take everything I said about the Six of Cups to heart, because they're confirming. That's correct. So the Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment is the Nine of Cups traditionally. It sort of is the same thing. This person, thank you. They're like, it's basically the same thing. This person, Hierophant, what they talk, what they project, because it's above their position, what they project out to you is, I know the ways to get the glory. I know the ways to succeed in this business. I know the ways to make a happy home. You have kids. You get married. You go on vacations to Disneyland about 3 or 4 times throughout the kid's life, and they'll love you forever. Like, they think it's so formalistic or formulaic. They have the playbook, and they're trying to pass it on to you. Some of you are diligently taking notes with that Page of Swords. Like, okay, this is how I do it. Okay, sure. So it works both ways. This person thinks they have the key to all your woes, Virgo. And I think it's interesting because they're not you and they're not your partner. In the family dynamic, they're not you. In the workplace, they're already at the top of their game. They're already at the top of the ladder. You're just like middle management. You're just entry level. You can't use their playbook because, like they told you, and then I worked up in the company for 18 years, and then finally they promoted me to this, or I went for that interview and I nailed that thing. And you're like, well, I've only been working here 2 years, so why are you like telling me like this grand scheme of how to do whatever here? I've only been here 2 years. This information not only is dated, I am nowhere near as experienced or given seniority in this company. So why, you know? So you could apply it either way. The Six of Cups thing, even though that is not the Six of Cups, I still think that's very valid for your situation because the energy of it was within me, okay? Now your last card in the main spread is the Lovers. Oh my God, with the focusing, you make me sick. I really want to know the difference. And maybe, because the high, oh God, I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'll figure it out when I'm off camera by myself. The Lovers, Major Arcana for Gemini, so some of you might be dealing with a Gemini, but you don't have to be. So here we have the union of any type in the home. Dating, married, non-committal, whatever it is. Between you and someone else. And I said that. The key. Right above that heart locket between the two figures is a key. Normally, in traditional depictions of the Lovers card, the key or the entity that hangs above is an angel. Here it's just an anonymous key floating in the air. There's something to be wow. I wanted to say unlocked, but through my mouth they were saying undone. Like the D was coming out of my mouth. That's why I never finished the word. So unlocked, undone. Something is to be unlocked or undone in a union, in a relationship. I don't know what that means. Because unlocked sounds a lot more optimistic than undone, right? Ah, undone. Thank you. They're clarifying. Undone as in take away, peel away this prescriptive energy, this historic conditioning that you or your family has all around it, all ensnared, all enraptured by it. Number one, it set your partner into a panic. So they're already there wanting to be undone or wanting to get unraveled from that situation, right? I don't know in what context that means, unraveled or undone from it, but you'll know in your own life. You'll know how that should apply. So, Virgo, if you're in any position, and you should be because you're a damn individual, to make a decision about next steps and phases in your life, you will have to choose. Because, thank you. Lovers often indicates choice. Indicates that we have to make a head or a heart decision. Head or heart, or sometimes head over heart, or sometimes heart over head. However you want to think about it. Again, I feel many of you do not want to upset the Hierophant. Not for even like egotistical reasons or self-preservation. It really feels like deep, utmost respect and honor that you pay to this person. Even if on the inside you're screaming, this doesn't make any sense, everything you're saying, it doesn't apply to my life, everything that you're saying is just blah, blah, blah. Like, even if you're able to counter everything that they say to you, if you're able to find a loophole and stuff that they say, you still keep your mouth shut and you honor them. Yeah? So the choice would be either to speak up to this person and sort of state your own case, make a plea or get them to maybe understand your position in the situation, or your position as an up-and-comer in the company where standards of practice and HR regulations have just changed, then you can't do half of the things this person suggests that you do, something like that. Or you simply gotta say, in the work thing, it's like you kind of go your own way. Like in some senses, it feels like this person has been sort of a mentor to you, and now you're kind of finding out or feeling like, well, I think I've tapped this well of information that this person has, because they might be giving you the same advice or telling you the same anecdotes over and over again. And it's not because they're older, it's just because they're not as versed or as prepared for the complexity of a modern workplace or modern issues that crop up in the office or in your business, right? So they're essentially they're like old technology, analog. Like, it works. I can personally still tell time on an analog clock, but it's a lot faster to just look at my cell phone, or for other people, just turn your wrist over and look at your Fitbit or look at your Apple Watch. You know, you could talk to Google, be like, say to Google, what time is it? And Google will verbally tell you, versus looking at an analog clock, which still tells time, but for some people, the irony is that it takes too much time to tell time on an analog clock when I can just look at a digital clock. Does that make sense? So that's what this is. So you would need to decide, do I want to keep up with these analog traditions, or do I want to go with something that's more modern, something that's more appropriate for conventions of the day? In terms of your family, choose your mom or your dad, or choose your husband or your wife, or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your partner, whatever. If you have an untraditional lifestyle or life plan for yourself, meaning you don't want kids, you don't want to get married, or you don't want to, as I've mentioned on my channel before, I think it's fascinating, and I would totally, personally, I'm going to come out on the record here, I would totally be into this. Maybe you don't want to live with your partner. A lot of people do that. We don't live together primarily. We have separate homes. We maintain separate spaces, and that works for them. I would be into that, personally. So whatever it is, it doesn't sit well with whomever the Hierophant is to you, and you will have to choose to either honor your truth or honor their truth. Now, your outcome says you ain't choosing a goddamn thing. Two of Pentacles in reverse. I'll show you this card upright. Two of Pentacles in the upright. That's what that looks like. And I'm laughing because I'm actually making a joke. It's not that you're not choosing to do a damn thing. Some of you aren't, but some of you are just not sure what to choose, because I think you, again, feel very caught in the middle, not sure which way to go. And that makes sense. Virgo, like I said in the beginning, you're an earth sign, very practical, very logical, very methodical. It's measured step by step. But you're coming in as a Page of Swords. Swords can be sharp, can be articulate, can be really analytical and all that kind of stuff. But if they're not in a high vibe, which I feel you're in a mid to low vibe with that card, it feels like slightly erratic, slightly disabled, or scatterbrained. Yeah? Because it's so much. It's so much. And you can't really predict the consequences of anything you would choose to do with that Two of Pentacles in reverse. And that's why I think some of you are sort of in, like, caught between a rock and a hard place. If you stand up for yourself, sure, you'll gain some autonomy and you'll be able to sort of build your own trajectory in your job, or you'll be able to set your own foundation for new traditions in your family. But you upset someone that you really honor, that you really love, that you really respect. If you stick with the program that this person professes and they suggest to you and they present to you, you risk, number one, in the relationship, you risk continuing to have your partner be isolated and feel unwelcome in your family dynamic. Or they might do something else. This person, they're really out to lunch. I don't know what they're doing, but keep an eye on them. You see what I mean? So it's like this Two of Pentacles is like, I don't know what to do. I can't decide. I'm so confused. I'm so overwhelmed. Yeah? And that's unfortunate. Again, I'll show you this upright. For those where you feel you have a significant connection with someone in the family dynamic, your spouse or a potential spouse. You might be single and is still experiencing this, you know? Everybody you date turns into the Four of Swords because your parents are so overbearing. You might not actually have a specific one-on-one partner. You might be dating for the next, 2-3 years of your life, and everybody that comes into your life gets the 5th degree when they come and meet your family. So what do you do for work? Oh, that's nice. And so what's your family like? Like, a fucking interview. And it's just like, leave my date alone. Like, come on. This is the first time you're meeting them, and this is everything you're trying to say to them. This is everything you're trying to ask them. Like, calm down, mom. Calm down, dad. Something like that. Your overall energy, I gotta look at it this way. Thank you. 6 of Pentacles. Your overall energy, Virgo, is the 6 of Pentacles. So, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, huh? I think I said that. Deadlines, for those where this is a work situation, we started out talking about that. Definitely, tick tock. Something's coming down to the wire, and you'll sort it out, or it'll be sorted out. I'm not feeling like any travesties, but the pressure that you're under, or the way that you're having to go back and forth up until the 11th hour in a situation is really bothersome to you, and that'll be a lesson for you to take going forward, because if you're, yeah, I'm not going to get into it. So, time is of the essence in the work situation. Also a little bit in the family situation too, because maybe you have someone really special that you want to keep close to you, Virgo, but they're over here. And I feel like they are like 2 steps away from saying, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to be subjected to this. Especially if it's, I didn't mention it too much, but there is an experience for someone out there, Virgo, where your parent or whoever this Hierophant person is super critical of your partner, and the communication is not good between these 2 people. That is a time-sensitive situation. That will only get worse if nothing is resolved, if nothing is addressed, okay? If it's not that direct, if it's not that critical or full of friction and tension and animosity, right? This then would just speak to the traditional idea. Oh my God, what the damn focus? This would still just speak to the general idea of balance and reciprocity in your life, Virgo. I think in general, Virgos are very good with balance. I think Virgos are usually, well, let me say not very good. You guys are good. Let me take the very out of it. You're good with finding a balance, especially when you notice there's a problem. You're very good at proposing or finding solutions and then acting upon the solutions to try and rectify a situation. You're usually not one to let a situation fester too long, which is ironic because, again, I feel you're kind of in this, I don't know what to do. And I think it's because of, again, you can't really be sure of the outcome. You can't really be sure of the reaction of other people around you. If you had certain knowledge of how a person would react, you would have already, this would have come out in the upright. So if you knew that if you stood up to the Hierophant and they wouldn't blow their top, or they wouldn't be offended, or it wouldn't alter your relationship with them, you probably would have told them by now, like whatever you're thinking or feeling on the inside. Yeah. So once the balance is restored, or some type of even give and take presents itself, if it does, I think you're going to be better able to move forward and make decisions and sort of state your case. Okay. Virgo, that is your reading for October 2019. If you liked it, like button is down below. Go ahead and hit that for me. You can leave comments on the video letting me know how this message resonated with you today, if it did at all. You can, of course, share the video across your social media platforms. And guys, if you are not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I'm a pretty cool person, I think. If not, that's totally cool. I understand. Not everybody's cup of tea, clearly. But if you are not already subscribed, make sure you hit the subscription button as well as the notification bell so you can see when I upload to YouTube, all right? Virgo, I will be back very soon. I will see you in the mid-October readings, which you'll see coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And you'll see me go live here on the channel, but that will be a birthday message for Libra. I did your guys's about 3 or 4 weeks ago. That's posted up on the channel. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. So again, if you were there for that or you're familiar with what it is specifically for the sign whose birthday season it is. So if they're there and they want to ask a question, they get a free reading. You can come and eavesdrop if you want. You don't have to. It's a free world. You can do whatever you like. But just to give everybody a heads up on what that live is actually geared, or who that live is actually geared towards, okay? All right, Virgo, I really appreciate you guys taking your time to watch this video today. Take care. Bye.